I've got a couple of what's it called? Well, moon dreams that I wanted to share. Now I've had quite a lot of moon dreams, to be honest. I mean, I have actually recorded another one today that was very recent, so I do tend to have them quite a lot. And again, I have quite a lot of dreams where I see stuff in the sky. So not just moons, stars, also planets, that kind of thing. But I thought, given I just did a dream about moons earlier today, that's what is that called? It's got crescent moon in the title. I thought I'd do another moon one and combine two of them. But this was an interesting confirmation dream. It felt like a confirmation to me anyway. Okay, so this was 17th of October 2024. So, and yeah, it was another dream where it had a confirmation. Once I woke up, there was a confirmation there. So again, I'm going to just go through, see whether it means anything. I don't think that it really means anything necessarily, although I've had a lot of people who have talked about twin moons. So I have had twin moons. I've had twin suns as well. Don't know what that kind of means, but in this dream, I was working in a large open plan office. Oh, how many dreams am I working in an open plan office? Which I did originally, so that's my first job. So, but it's just because the volume of videos I've done recently, and it's in an open plan office. It was set in an open plan office. It was a zombie apocalypse, but it was in an open plan office. I'm like, oh, okay. So anyway, open plan office, and I was just about to pack up for the day. As I'm packing up, I hear the song by Kylie Minogue, "Love at First Sight." I could just hear it. I didn't know where it's coming from, but I could hear this song playing in the background. And just as I woke up, or as I was waking up, so I sometimes refer to this like the credits come up for the dream, because there was some other stuff that happened before. I think before this dream, it wasn't just I'm in the office and then a song plays and I wake up. So there was some other stuff, but obviously it didn't leave a big impression on me, or there's some other stuff to come here. Anyway, just as I'm waking up, almost like, as I said, like the credits coming up on the film that you've just watched, this image comes up, and it's as a flash image. That's why I refer to it, as I said, like the credits. So sometimes it's almost, sorry, this book keeps wanting to flip over. Right, sometimes it's almost like it's in a TV screen that you see. When it's a flash image, sometimes it's like you can see around, but it's very, very short, like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, super short. This was similar to that. Okay, so I've written here flash image, so it must have been very, very short, but it was of a beautiful blue sky, and it was during the daytime, so there was a daytime moon that I was seeing. So I wasn't seeing a nighttime moon, I was seeing a daytime moon. And there was another planet or a moon next to it. So this one, the one that was next to the moon, was roughly 2/3 to maybe 3/4 the size. So not the full size of the moon, but quite close to. Okay, quite close to the same size. It looked the same texture as well, the same color. So it literally looked like our moon, more or less. So I guess a grey sort of whitish looking color. From the daytime, craters and stuff like that. Oh, just read on, Dave, read on. Where it says, yeah, there you go, with two moons, in that it was white/grey with craters just like our moon. So both the moons looked the same, but one was just slightly smaller. It was stationary in the sky, so it wasn't like it was moving out of place or anything like that. They were both in the same sort of place at the same time. After I woke up, it says here, roughly 2/3 of the way through this song. Yeah, okay. So what I did was, just purely because I heard that song, and I've had this before, and maybe actually I'll do that. Maybe I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that now. Bear with me. Where is it? Is this the right book? Yeah. Sorry, this is completely off the. There we go. Because this happened again in the same way. Right, I'm going to do that next. I would say remind me, but you can't remind me. So I will try and remind myself. Okay. So I come out of the dream and I'm in reality now. So I wake up and then I decided I wanted to listen to that track. So Kylie Minogue, Love at First Sight. Okay. About 2/3 of the way through the actual song, she actually looks up and into the sky, and there's two planets that are planets orbiting. Not saying that it is obviously prophecy or anything like that, but it kind of looked the same because I think they're about the same size as these twin moons that I saw. Um, and also, again, for transparency, in that my daughter at this time actually had a moon projector as a night lamp as well. So again, I'm always trying, if I can, to try and explain some of these things away about around things that I've had happen in my life, to see if that's influenced my dreams. So maybe it did. Maybe I was fixated a little bit more on the projector than normal and looking at the moon. I don't know. But maybe it was also because of, as I said, this music track dropping in is so specific, and then as I said, it comes up and it's got these, it's got a planetary bit that goes round. It's orbiting. It's got like an orbit thing in this music video, and you see a couple of planets and stuff whiz around, and it made me think of the twin moons. Oh yeah, there we go. And as soon as I did wake up, I was actually compelled to go to the window. And as I woke up, yeah, compelled to go to the window to look out the window as the curtains were wide open, so I could just see the night sky. We've got just pretty much from our bedroom. If you're lying down, you could just see nothing but sky. But even when you go to the window, we've got a really good, pretty much unobscured view of a lot of stuff around the area. So I opened the curtains and got up, and then just for literally a couple of seconds, I saw this bright moon on the left-hand side, where I actually saw a bright star another time as a confirmation for a dream. This was a bright moon, which was, again, like a confirmation. So this moon, where is it? Super bright. It was just a glimpse, and then cloud went over it. And I sort of watched for a while because I came downstairs, I think, to read the Bible afterwards, because this was early morning. And bear in mind, this is October, so early morning in October can be a little bit dark, because this is just before actually the clocks change in the UK. So they won't have changed just yet, but it would be quite dark in the morning. But yeah, as I said, I woke up and there was this really bright, really bright moon, and then it became fully obscured by the cloud. And then I'm writing down in my text message, or my message I put in my phone at the time. I'm writing this at 7:15, and got up at 5:30, and still no moon visible. So that whole time, that nearly 2 hours, I've been looking out, and the moon's it's just been fully covered by cloud the whole time after that. It was just that brief moment. I actually had another moment once where I was reading the Bible, and it was a lovely passage in the Bible, and I looked across exactly the same spot actually, the left hand side, but here it was from downstairs, and there was this beautiful rainbow, and I took a picture. And then I went to literally just look at it, and then I looked back, and it was gone. So it was on my phone. I didn't imagine it. Took a picture, but it was literally like it couldn't be more than a minute or something. And I looked back, and it was completely gone. So yes, sometimes those lovely little moments you get. Anyway, so so still no more moon. So this is my first sort of double moon dream. And I was pretty sure it was a full moon. I didn't know for sure. But then I ended up Googling it, and I think I Googled this actually later, much later. Like I Googled this in like July 2025 when I was writing this from my phone into my journal. I thought, I was compelled just to look up the moon and just thought, was it a full moon back then? And I looked it up, and it actually said that it was the biggest supermoon of the year. So it was the biggest the moon ever was, super bright, was on that day that year, 17th of October 2024, which was when I had the dream. So no wonder it stuck out to me. But yeah, the brightest it ever was. Okay, so this was As I said, this was a moon dream. I'm going to quickly go into the next one. So this is actually from another. This is my other book. So this one again is also to do with music. Okay, so it's just an anecdotal thing. Okay, really, really random, but I personally think God really communicates with us in a really diverse set of ways if you are open to receiving and sometimes going on faith of certain things. Okay, so what happened here? It's starting to get quite dark actually in here, despite it being midday. It's really overcast. Right, so this is like as I said, an anecdotal sort of thing that happened to me. This was the 1st of July 2025, so it wasn't really that long ago, given it's sort of towards the end of August 2025 now. So, and it was like a fulfillment. I had an expectation that I was expecting something to happen, and it didn't happen straight away, but it happened later. Okay, so I woke up in the morning. So very similar to this Kylie Minogue one. I woke up in the morning and randomly had this real strong sense of a song in my mind. It just kept on playing in my mind, and it was George Michael, Father Figure. Okay, now my daughter, the last time she'd played this was about 2 or 3 weeks prior. It's not a popular, not a popular song at all. I mean, you may not have even heard of it. And it's not even one of his big songs, as far as I know. Anyway, the first time I heard it was probably about a year ago, when my daughter played it to me, and I was like, I really like the sound of this. And yeah, found out it was George Michael. Oh, I've never heard of this song before. So as I said, I hadn't really known about the song really all that long at all. But she had it on her playlist, and when we'd go to my mum's or we'd go somewhere like to school, sometimes she might put it on and listen to it. Obviously, in amongst tons of other tracks, of course. But the thing was, again, the takeaway from this is this song. I woke up and this song was really strong in my mind, and I just woke up thinking about it for some bizarre reason. I felt that, maybe there was some kind of a significance to this track. Why you would wake up and think, oh, there's a song that's played, there's a significance to it, but it felt like a Holy Spirit conviction of something to do with this track, just something to do with this track. I was like, okay, all right. As I said, I hadn't heard it for about 2 to 3 weeks, I would say, at least, probably longer actually, and as it did feel really odd, I was wondering to myself, I wonder if Jess is going to play that in the car today, this morning. Now, as I said, she sometimes would play tracks on the way to school, but a lot of the time it's like a 5 minute drive. So most of the time it's not worth the effort of getting her in, her phone all linked into the car. Quite often we just get in the car, stick the radio on, and go. So sometimes it does happen. So I'm kind of like, oh, is it going to happen? Is she going to put her MP3 player on? And is she going to play that specific track? Again, that's just one track in amongst stacks on various different playlists as well. So it's not like every time she puts it on, it comes on. Not at all. Okay. So as I did feel that there was some kind of something to it, I thought, well, maybe it'll happen when I'm taking the kids to school. Okay. So as I said, for such a short journey, really, it doesn't really happen. And we get in the car. And as normal, so normal is radio, okay? Radio goes goes on. I think, oh, okay, fair enough. Didn't really think anything of it. Day that I'm working, so I'm just taking the kids into school, coming back home, and then I'm working. I don't know. This is the 1st or 7th. I'm not sure what day that was, but whatever day it was, we had some family over. I think it was my mum. My mum was over, and 4:15 same day I'm working, and most of the time, so if I'm when I'm working, I'm often, like vast majority of the time, I've got my earphones in, and I'm working where I don't need to be on the phone and stuff like that a lot of the time. So I'm watching videos. Almost always it's some sort of Christian video, or at the moment I've been into a lot of military stuff, so I've been into a lot of planes and naval bits and pieces, that kind of stuff, so secular stuff, but interesting because there was a crossover, because I was getting a lot of dreams to do with planes, triangle shaped planes, so I was kind of like getting into all this sort of stuff, and future technology as well. I had also in dreams, and I was kind of trying to think, are these on the cusp of actually being developed, so it's more research wise. But I do enjoy those. I used to love planes as a kid, absolutely loved them. I wanted to be a pilot. Nowhere near educated enough or have the best good enough eyes for that. Anyway, so 4:15 So I'm working at home. I've got my earphones in, and I normally put them up quite loud. And this is because the TV was on in our front room. Now I haven't obviously shown you the front room, but I'm in the dining room, and it's completely open plan. So literally 3.5 meters, about 4 meters away, is a corner sofa, which is where everybody will be sitting, and the TV's just by the door, which again, nautically, sort of nautical distance, yeah, it would be about 4 meters away, so not far away. So it can get quite loud. So I often raise up the volume just so I can hear what I'm hearing right over that. Okay, so about 4:15, same day, I'm working from home. As I said, I've got these in, and I'm actually watching. I'm watching a Rapture video, I think it is, or listening and watching to a Rapture video with my earphones in, and yeah, this is the day of the week. It's midweek. Oh, right, okay. So it's normally a Wednesday that my mum comes over, but actually this day it was Tuesday that she came over. This is probably because there was something going on a Wednesday. Not that that's overly important. The girls, as normal, quite often they do make an effort to stay downstairs and see their nan and say hello. You know, spend a bit of time with them rather than being in their room. So they were downstairs, and my daughter. They basically put the TV on, so there was a bit of entertainment for them, which can be a problem sometimes when I'm working and I've got to speak to somebody and I'm like, can you turn it down a little bit, you know? But on this occasion, I wasn't. I was just listening to stuff. Anyway, so TV goes on, and Jess, my eldest daughter, she'd been working her way through the series of Glee. So I think this was the first time round she'd been watching Glee. Anyway, you know, that's all singing and stuff like that. So as I imagine. You know, it has stacks and stacks of music. So most episodes will have at least one sort of musical, like, you know, singing their own rendition of a specific track. Of course, yeah, you know what's coming. So I had the volume on my earphones really pretty loud, as I said, to drown out the noise of the TV. But I could hear this familiar tune, and I just kind of tuned out. I took one earphone out, and I was like, "What is that?" And I realise it's George Michael, Father Figure, that they are doing on Glee randomly as their song of this particular episode this day. And I literally just stood up in the chair I'm sitting in now, and I was like, hands on the desk, no way! I was like, no way! I said, I've been waiting for this all day. I said, I don't know why. I had this real feeling, a real expectation that I was going to hear this song today. I thought really the only opportunity that was going to be was that Jess was going to play it in the car on the way to school, because I don't pick them up from school. So that was the only opportunity. I said, a real expectation. I said, but obviously, as normal, we put the radio on, and it didn't happen. I said, and now I had that expectation of Jess putting it on, and now Jess has put the TV on. She's put on Glee, which she's watching at the moment, and they're performing that exact same song. I said, it's not even a popular song. It's not even really a popular song. And obviously, again, I felt like that, and I feel that I wouldn't put it in the dream unless, in this thing, unless I thought it was definitely from God. Why would I randomly? I mean, yeah, you can say coincidence, and that's, you know, let's just say somebody in the family went, it's probably just a coincidence. Right, well, I don't believe that kind of thing is coincidence. And I regularly do pray on you know, the Holy Spirit speaking to me hearing the actual voice you know, of God, and being communicated to in new and inventive ways. I'd actually, oh, there you go, last night I'd done some sort of I was at a Bible meeting with a group, and on the way home I actually specifically prayed for almost about 30 minutes, using the time for the trip home to say I was specifically looking to get closer to God. I was, you know, wanted to communicate through dreams, continue to communicate through dreams and stuff like that. And so I was just, again, of course, I'm just humbled by yet again that God is communicating in that way. Now, because it's called Father Figure, I'm thinking this is from God. So what, God the Father? Has it got some good father stuff in it? No. Well, maybe there's some lyrics that they're transferable, but I mean, it's not. It's quite a lustful thing about a relationship. So I was a bit like, maybe don't. maybe don't encourage people to listen to the song necessarily but as I said, that's another coincidental kind of, coincidence that happened. Okay, I said I promised you two dreams about moons. So sorry, I didn't expect to put that in there. Obviously, I've now put that in there because it felt like the right time, and I didn't know when the right time would be, like to do a specific video around that or not. But this felt right. Okay, so another dream. So this is about a huge dream, a huge moon. So this one's 31st of October 2024. What was the other one? 17th of October. So it's not even that long after, really, another 2 weeks, or roughly 2 weeks. And I'm into another dream about a moon. So again, this was a brief dream. So like the other one was a very brief dream. All I saw was a couple of moons, and it was just like a flash image. That was more or less it. As I said, it coincidentally matched the biggest moon that we have had for the whole year, coincidentally. But then comes another one, so 31st of the 10th. So a very brief dream, but again, it had a huge moon in it. So this was at least 3 to 4 times larger than a normal size moon. So this was massive. It was a full moon as well, and so easily I could make out all the craters very clearly. It was almost looking through a binoculars at a moon. It was massive in comparison, and felt really in your face. Again, I could see all the craters, could make it out very easily, could understand it was definitely the moon. It was definitely the moon. And then he had a really, really brief part where Russell Brand, who's just become a Christian, and I think that's genuine. I say just become a Christian. I mean, it's probably been, it might have been as much as a year now. I don't know. It's been a while, but he was randomly sitting at this dining room table with me. Literally me sitting here, him sitting next to me, and he was talking about, he was going through his drug problems that he'd had and the effects, and he was actually talking, bear with me a second, it's just started raining, like a washing outside. Sorry, I'm back. Our rain in the UK is, our weather in the UK is all over the place. Even in summer, you don't have guaranteed sun. Not too wet though. Anyway, so we're talking about Russell Brand, weren't we? So he's talking about his drug taking and stuff like that, and he's talking about the hallucinogens and things like that he had taken and the effects that it had on him, the things that he had seen. He wasn't particularly glorifying it, but it was more, he was just running through his experiences and documented it. Similar to what I'm attempting to do now. Yeah, so basically what I was saying there was documenting my experiences. There was another part which is very, very brief, and I think it could be connected. So there was another part where I was walking around my town centre, as I am often in dreams, but I was waiting to cross a specific road, and we were all standing just looking to cross a road that was, one lane. And I think it had like traffic lights on it or something like that, and the traffic lights were just not changing, and we were all patiently just waiting there, just waiting and waiting, and we'd been there what felt like about half an hour. I'm like, how much longer are we going to wait for these lights to change, I was like, that's it, I'm just going. So I just walked across, and I was storming off through town, and yeah, loads of other people, they were just waiting there. I'd had enough of waiting, and I strode across, big strides, due to more my frustration, I think, and a lack of time, because I was headed off. Past. Somehow got a little bit lost in my own town. I don't quite know how that happened. I was running late to get to work, apparently, and that's a really common theme. Getting lost is very, very common, and work-based ones is very, very common. Struggling to get somebody, navigation problems. I've mentioned this before in previous ones where I've talked about cars where I've got navigation problems. Quite often I find myself on a motorway or something, and it's Birmingham, which is like the centre of England, quite often, and it's like I'm always getting lost around there. But that's really all there was to that one. As I said, I just added that little bit in because it made me think of being impatient and moons and stuff like that. So it's kind of like seeing signs in the sky and being impatient, patiently waiting, most of us, but maybe I'm a bit more impatient. Maybe that's what it's suggesting, that I'm wanting, I'm wanting Jesus to come right now, like right now, that kind of thing. Whereas everybody else is just like, yeah, he'll come, don't stress. Maybe that's what it's telling me. Okay, well, anyway, hopefully you found those interesting. Obviously, the huge moon. Again, I wouldn't make just a single video about that. There was hardly anything to it. But I thought combining a couple of dreams there. But obviously, the thing that was probably more interesting was what the intersect between reality and the dream world, which does happen quite a lot. And I'm always very cautious about ever saying, "Oh, it's prophecy," because that I really only ever want to sort of say prophecy, to be honest, about something that's far more significant and absolutely spot on. Because how it worked in the ancient world with the what's it called, with Israel, is if you wanted a bit, if you were a prophet, if you were truly from God, then they would write down what you said. What you said was going to happen, when it was going to happen. If it did actually happen, they basically put this in like a big library, held it in a big library. And if it did happen, well, then you're a genuine prophet. But if it didn't happen, obviously they would get rid of it, but also you'd probably be killed. So the stakes of proclaiming to be a prophet and not being a prophet were very, very high stakes. And I did have some scripture specifically about that. It's one about calling about. It says about test of spirits. And it talks about false prophets and stuff like that. So yeah, please don't ever view me as a prophet. I'm not a prophet at all. I'm just simply somebody who just sees dreams, and I do see things sometimes that happen before they happen. But again, I look at all of it as literally a way of God communicating with me, and communicating ideas and things like that, getting my attention, just general confirmations and stuff like that. So they're beautiful little things that happen, and I document them if stuff like that does happen. That's really out of the ordinary and seems beyond chance. That just general things that would happen on the same day. Yeah, in that way as well. Again with the whole Glee thing on a TV program. It seemed a bit much, and then the Kylie Minogue thing, having that track, and then obviously I looked that up and it had the two planets sort of revolving thing. So again, I would just see that as a confirmation of something. But yeah, it is what it is. So hopefully it was interesting, regardless. And of course, I will have another dream coming right up. Okay, I will see you again soon.